This concrete stairway was super sketchy. And the reason it's so sketchy is if you look at that top step, it's about a foot tall, but the others are only 7 or 8 inches, which makes this a very dangerous trip hazard. In fact, that's why my customer called me to build a handrail for this staircase. When you look at something like this, you just kind of have to wonder, what were the builders thinking when they were building it? Or maybe a better question is, were they thinking? Well, I'm no expert, but my guess is they were probably thinking, but not about the job. Bringing your brain to work is the most effective thing that you can do. You can have all the experience in the world and all the tools in the world, but unless you bring your brain to work, you're gonna be kind of useless. It's kind of like if you've got a $2,000 welder and you decide to use some JB Weld. Would JB Weld work to weld metal together? Well, maybe kind of. But the point is, if you've got the tool, why not use it? I say all of that to say, God gave you a brain, so you might as well put it to good use and bring it to work with you. Before I ever start building a railing like this, or anything for that matter, I always measure it out really carefully, and with the handrail, I will measure out the length of each step and the height of each step, and then I'll put it into SketchUp and make a complete drawing of it, and that tells me exactly what angles I need to cut and what length my pieces need to be. One thing you have to remember about metal is that when you weld it, it always warps. So what you have to do is make something called a strong back, and find a strong piece of tube or something that's fairly rigid and clamp it or tack it on the back side of what you're welding. You're never going to completely avoid warpage, but this will certainly help minimize it. Ever since I was a kid, I've always been a pyrotechnic. I've always loved to light things on fire and watch things go boom. So I guess you could say I'm living out my childhood fantasy. Because essentially, I get to burn metal for a living, which is pretty cool. And now, I would like to blow some more things up, but preferably not my shop. Sometimes, as metal fabricators, we tend to use the grinder a little bit like a crutch. There's this idea that if you get a bad weld, you can just grind over it and it'll look fine. And although there is some truth to that, the grinder is just like any other tool or like using your brain. You gotta know how to use it. One of the things I did wrong when I first started fabricating is I would always put way too much pressure when grinding joints like this. And sometimes it's easy to just think, well, the powder coat will cover it. Although that may be partially true. If you grind way too much in one spot, that's actually going to make a divot. And most of the time, you'll still be able to feel that and see it through the finish. So when you're using a flap disc, get the weld down to almost flush, and then expand your grinder strokes and do long strokes. This will really help even everything out so that you don't have a low spot in just one particular spot. Taking a little bit of extra time to make your stuff a little bit more superior than the last guy is well worth it. The customer is paying you to solve their problem. If somebody pays you $2,000 to build a rail, here's what that tells you. That customer wants that rail more than they want their $2,000. So the best thing you can do is make that their best $2,000 that they've ever spent. If you can learn a trade like this, you're going to be so far ahead of a lot of people, because people always need stuff like this done. You notice what I'm building is not anything complicated. It's just a handrail, and everybody needs handrail. So if you can learn welding or carpentry or plumbing or electrical, the list goes on, but these are hands-on trades that not a lot of people like to do. A few months ago, I picked up this core drill off of Facebook Marketplace, and I have found so many uses for it. Definitely a great tool. And here's a pro tip for you. Buy stuff that you can actually afford. So if that means buying used equipment, then buy used equipment. One of the ways to save money is to stop spending money. I know that sounds simple, but think about it. If you were to buy used equipment, buy a used car, something you can pay cash for and not be making payments to the bank, how much extra money would you have? Something you should always do before digging in the dirt is call the number for call before you dig. I believe that number is 811. I don't know if that's the same everywhere, but basically they'll have the power company and the gas company and internet company come out and mark out where all the underground utilities are, and that way when you're digging, you don't end up hitting something you're not supposed to. And if you forget to do that, you might be shocked. Literally. I was going down about 2 feet in the ground here, so this was a lot of digging. And in the end, the customer was very happy with this railing, and hopefully he's not going to fall down his stairs again. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button, leave your comments down below, let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see me make in the future, and if you enjoyed that and would like to see more, consider subscribing to the channel, because I put out videos like this all the time. And until next time, God bless.